everybody. How's everybody doing? Welcome to Transgurus again.
Mhm.
It's so nice that you are here, and we have to thank you, all our followers, because we have been going like hell. I mean, we've got loads of subscribers now. It's really very, very nice. So
Fabulous.
for the theme of today, we would like to talk about. It's a little bit complicated to tell, but let's say how to make meringue pie out of the lemons you have. So
Yeah.
since I will let Raj start, okay?
Oh, me? Wait a minute. You're acting like I came up with the idea. I mean, come on.
No.
Wow. Well, I always have been the type of person, even from a little kid, I've always had like this optimistic type of personality, looking at the cup half full instead of half empty, the whole thing about taking lemons and making lemonade. But of course, I'm a transgender woman, so it just can't be lemonade. It has to be lemon meringue pie, honey, because it has to be fabulous and over the top. So what I mean when I say that is, in life, there's going to be ups and downs. The so-called ups and the so-called downs. And as we travel through our life, the different chapters, the different phases or stages along the way, you'll have challenges. And I know in my life, uh, I've I found ways to try to take a quote unquote bad situation and turn it around and do something good with it or get something positive out of it. And I'll give you an example. So I I did a video like recently because I do my own little videos, and I was talking about karma. And I had actually had an incident like back in 2007, around then, where someone I knew who was very friendly with me, we weren't really close, but was pretty friendly with me. I would see her. She worked at the Kentucky Fried Chicken. And whenever I would go to have KFC and go to the drive-through, I would see her.
Yeah.
So I was at Kmart, and they had at the time they had an internet cafe, and my computer had broken, so I needed to go check emails, and so I went to the internet cafe. I'm checking my emails. I had just gotten paid. Went to the bank. I think I got like almost $400 out. Put it in my purse, and I had it in the side pocket, and I put my purse right in front of me, but on the side of the computer. So this girl comes up that I see at the KFC, and she's like, "Hi, how are you?" And I was like, "Hi." And are you still at KFC? And we're making like a little general conversation. But then I noticed she keeps trying to like prolong the conversation. You know how someone is like just kind of grabbing at straws to keep the conversation going. And I'm thinking, well, I know you and we're friendly, but we're not, it's not like we're chummy chums. And anyway, she's like, "Oh, my boyfriend's here. Let me introduce you to him." So I was like, "Okay." So she said, "I'm going to go get him." So I go back to checking my emails, and they come back. She's on this side. He goes to this side. Literally, I turned for 3 seconds to say hello. "Hi, hello, nice to meet you," and turn back. And I'm like looking at her, and she's like, "Oh, girl, we have to go." And all of a sudden, she's in this big hurry. I'm like, "Oh, now you're in a hurry?" I mean, I that's what I was thinking. But I'm like, "Okay, good, because I need to finish doing what I'm doing on the computer." So long story short, go to the market to do some grocery shopping, get to the checkout, and when I go to grab for my money, I can't find the money. So I'm like, "Where is the money? Where did I put it?" And I'm like looking through my purse. Well, I had more money in my bank, so I used some of that to pay for the groceries. Get out to the car, and I'm like, "Oh my God, where did I put that money?" I put the groceries in my car, and I get in my car, and I'm looking around, And then it hits me. I'm like, oh, fuck. She took my money. And it was like, I connected everything, like the way he came to this side. It just was like a ton of bricks. I was devastated. I had everything budgeted. I had to go home and figure out how I was gonna like pay my bills and everything. But the point of this story is the next day I had gone into work and I shared with some of my coworkers, and they were like, oh, that's a shame. And you need to be more careful. And I'm thinking, how much more careful can I be with my purse right in front of me? I just turned for 3 seconds. Anyway, it hit me. When I was a teenager, I stole. I did a little shoplifting when I had first graduated from high school, and I'm still embarrassed about this, but I did it, and I worked for a little jewelry company, and I had stolen from them, and I got caught, and my boss loved me. Like him and we got on so well, and he just loved me to death. So he gave me a chance. He didn't fire me. He showed me grace. And he allowed me to prove myself to him. I paid back the money and I was just so like sorry I did it and all of that. But in that moment I said, "Oh my God, this was a lesson for me. Now I know how my boss felt when I did that to him." Because I I felt so betrayed by this girl who was like so friendly to me, and we were just like had a great energy. And so in that moment, even though it was a horrible thing that happened and I had to figure out how I was going to pay my bills, I got a lesson from it, and I felt like redemption because I truly understood how I made him feel. And that's what I'm talking about when something bad happens, finding the good in it, and the lesson so that you can go on in your life and do better. Do better. Ella?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Oh my God, I hope the police don't come knocking at my door. They're going to arrest me for shoplifting when I was 15 years old.
Oh, I think the statute of limitations is over.
Oh, Dr. Bobby, I love you for that. Thank you.
You know, I think that, we're always learning something, and there's always some kind of, uh, you know, something that we are thrown into because we have to learn something. It's life. That's the karma.
Mhm.
So, Bobby, would you like to go next?
Oh boy. It's such a big topic because, we were talking earlier today, there was some bad news in Florida. Um, and we're going to avoid politics. But those of us who live in Florida, well, what is this, August 28th? You know what's happening in the news. And that's adversity. And I was thinking about, we hear so much growing up. I think before I heard about turning lemons into lemonade, it was along the lines of April showers bring May flowers, and every cloud has a silver lining. And, it's sort of like a way we enculturate our children that sometimes bad things happen. And how you respond to that um, is going to make all the difference in the world. Um, you know, and and we learn about responding to adversity, at least for me, by doing all the wrong things. It's like, well, I'm going to blame so and so for all my troubles, and that might work for a while. And there's a whole lot of that that goes on in our country, scapegoating people and all of this stuff. But there comes a time where you know, it's sort of like you hit rock bottom and you realize, holy smokes, it's been me and my decisions that have really caused so much of this. And that is really a fortunate place to be because, um, you're still alive, and you've got a chance to really reflect on how did I get here and how am I going to get out, and to come up with a plan of action. And that's really, and there's just so many examples of it. For one reason, I was thinking about something that might be in common with people in the audience. And I was thinking about when you find a doctor that's going to help you with some of the gender affirming surgeries or things like that, and you get everything together in your documentation and the doctor, and you set a date, and then the insurance company denies it. And one of the things, and that's a limit, and being a teacher, I would usually try to schedule that stuff during summer break so I didn't have to use sick days and things like that. And so here I got everything all set up, and this stinking insurance company denies it, and it's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And I remembered that when I was driving around town, I saw a really nice looking law office that had a pride flag flying outside. And I thought, I think I'll call them up. Let's see. And, when you get those insurance rejections and denials, they usually give you a little thing about how you can appeal this decision. And it's like, I don't know how to write an appeal. And why do I think that, I'm going to be able to? So I thought, well, I'll see what a lawyer says. And so I talked to him, and it's like, oh yeah, we do insurance appeals all the time. And they wanted just a little bit of a retainer. And, it wasn't like going to court or anything. It was just, you've been denied. If you want to appeal, this is how you do it. But you get a lawyer to write that appeal for you. And then all of a sudden it's like all of that stuff evaporates. Just, it's like, yes, ma'am, where do you want to get this? And and what I learned a whole lot about the insurance business and that process, and that it's very typical, especially in our community, for them to just routinely deny most of the stuff we want, because they have learned that 80% of us are wimps and we're going to give up. and what I learned was, well, no, you can fight back. And and that's all I did is I'd never seen this attorney before. Turns out she was lesbian, and we just hit it off really well. and so she writes this letter, and it just all evaporated. And in that process, and in my city, I'm a real active member in my community, and so now I get that surgery approved. It's not on the schedule I want, but it's approved. And now I know how to talk to all the other people in my community about who are getting denied, and refer them to this wonderful lawyer that just got our backs. And so I've been real busy for over a decade building the healthcare capacity in my community, and the doctors and the mental health people and all of that stuff. We've done a great job. And that was just a lesson I needed to learn. And so it was it reminded me of another thing I saw when, when life gives you lemon, well, make lemonade and then go find somebody that's got a lot of vodka and have a party. That's
I
kind of what I
love
did.
it.
That is a really good alternative too.
Back to you, Ella.
Yeah, I'll probably go and get some lemonade and vodka here in the hotel. Why not? Why not? Jimmy, your turn, girl.
So, how's everyone doing? I just wanted to mention Ella is our chief moderator and administrator of our page and our account, and Ella's doing a great job.
Thank
And
you.
thank you.
So much.
I think being 10,000
It's for
views,
us, it's for everybody which is listening.
and I think we try to provide useful and meaningful content in our podcasts. And experiences and life lessons that we've learned the hard way. And as gurus, a guru is a spiritual teacher, and our messages usually revolve around topics involving the spirit and the journey of humans, and specifically transgender humans. And tonight we're talking about when given lemons, make lemon meringue pie. And I'm not saying being transgender is a lemon. I think being a transgender person is a diamond. I do believe that my life is a true blessing, and I know all of us here share that feeling. And with an attitude of gratitude kind of thing, I don't think any of us view ourselves as being victims. We're all sovereign entities. We're spiritual beings, and being children of the divine universe, there's just certain things that cannot be denied. And we also have to realize that we live in a society of laws that have been drafted by human beings. We may not agree with all of them, but there's always a way to move forward. And I think what Bobby said, we can either respond or react. So when given challenges, and I think it was Raji, embrace the challenges, because this is where growth occurs. If we always hang out in our comfort zone, nothing's going to grow. Growth only occurs when we venture outside of our comfort zone. And what happens when you go outside your comfort zone? You get uncomfortable, because nothing grows when you're sitting on your couch. You got to venture out into the world. And so as far as our topic today, and this is what I think about it. It's not what we got. It's what we do with what we got. So the idea is to take inventory of what we have, not what we don't have. And another thing, I think it was Raji was talking about, or maybe Bobby, as we venture through life, and we're confronted with challenges and obstacles that seem almost impossible to get on the other side. If there is an obstacle, there's a path forward, yin and yang. And I think in every situation we encounter, we are either a student or a teacher. One of the two. We're either teaching someone or we're being taught by somebody else. So embrace the challenges of life, because this is how we develop our problem-solving skills. Our backbone is developed. There's a saying I love. It's calm seas never produced a good boat captain. So it's the storms in life that strengthen our resolve and give us fortitude to move forward. And this is an excellent topic that we can all expand on together tonight as we move forward, Ella.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, Jimmy reminded me of another thing I'd heard. It's like all ships are safe in harbor, but ships weren't made to be safe in harbor. I mean, to remain safe in harbor. It's like, yeah, you're right. That's when you find out what your boat's made out of,
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say that this is a very interesting topic, because who has not been hit by different things in life? And, that day that you were hit was the worst day of your life, right? You felt terrible. You really felt terrible. And then you got over it. And one day, even that being hit actually forgot about it. Probably, or probably not. Or you've learned a lesson from it too. I mean, for me, it's kind of, I'm not different from anybody else. But I have to say, I've learned something which is very important. That is that try to bring and to take things on a positive way. if you get hit by something, is because probably there is somewhere someone or something which is trying to teach you something.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, it's probably not just, there's a reason for that.
Mhm.
And it's your growth. It's the growth that you're doing throughout your life, which brings you through other platforms, or it's the karma that you have, as Raji was telling, that you are
Mhm.
probably you have to learn a lesson. And that lesson is usually quite good because sometimes later on in life, you are thankful for that lesson. So, yeah, think on a positive way. The worst things which are hit is that you do not recover from the hitting. If something hits you very dearly, you have to recover from it. You have to try to set your life in a way that it doesn't, you know, cripple you for life. Get up, fight, love, do whatever you need to do to be happy again. I mean, I've known many people. I know many people all over the world, and I know many people which are really positive, and some are really negative, and it's really a pattern. People which are very, very negative, they have this really big issue trying to recover.
Mhm.
So keep your positivity. Sometimes you wake up and everything is going on the wrong direction. You know what I do? I just say, get out of here and let's go on.
I love that.
Yeah, because hey, what you want to do? You
Mhm.
want to go and start. ah, it will just bring more negativity back.
Mhm.
If you look at the positive side, if you fight for the positive side, then you start feeling the positive things which are coming to you. As I already thought sometime, around here, is that every day try to have a little win, even if it's not big, but your little win will make your positivity and will bring you something.
Yes.
Yeah, people here, the transgender people were hit by some very bad news, as Bobby was telling,
Mhm.
mainly on the healthcare side for transgender people. But there's always a way out.
Mhm.
There's always a possibility. Don't think ever that because they forbid you to be transgender that you are going to stop, because it will never stop.
Exactly.
Uh,
We will always get away. We have been always getting away. I mean, don't forget, the first transgender people in the world, they were what, 4,000 years before Christ?
Yes.
yeah.
I mean, I have got a very good example, and that's India. India is a company I go very often, is a company I love very much. And the amount of transgender people in India is incredible. It's really incredible. We're talking about millions and millions of people.
Mhm.
Don't forget, there is one of the people from India which are transgender are called the Hijras. The Hijras have existed for thousands of years, for a very, very long time. And then the British came, of course, with their religious thinking.
Mhm.
And what did they decide to do? They decided to declare the Hijras outlawed.
Mhm.
In the year, I think it was 1780 or 18 something.
Hmm.
Guess what? The Hijras, they just existed. They didn't stop the Hijras. He just had to pay a lot because sometimes they were put to prison and they had difficulty and everything.
Mhm.
And now with the new government, I think it was about 8 or 9 years ago, they declared that the heaters were no more outlawed. Come on, we're talking about hundreds of years that they existed.
Mhm.
And they were no more outlawed, and they would welcome to society.
Mhm.
In the Hindu society is very open to everybody. I mean, the Hindus, uh, they are really quite open to many um, different ways, inclusive transgender people.
Mhm.
Some of the Hindi gods, they are supposed to be transgender anyway. So, so that's the way it goes. But you see, um, that for me is an example that you can do whatever you want,
Mhm.
but you will never change the, the reason why someone is the way it is.
Yeah.
It's not
It's
it's not a kind of, a phase that you go through, or a fashion, or whatever many of the people think. It's not. It's the way you are.
Mhm.
Open.
Ella. I have to say, there's a saying. I know I'm going to get it not completely correct, but something about it's not what happens to the human being that is a reflection of who they really are. It's how they handle what happens. So it's not so much the event or the incident, it's how you deal with it that really says the type of human being you are and the type of spirit and your energy that you have. So it's that's just when I think about that, that's like powerful to me because I keep that in mind as I live my life. And I have to remind myself of that. And, uh, Jimmy said something about being gratitude. I can't stress this enough to our viewers. Gratitude is so powerful when you can be thankful for what you have. That doesn't mean that you're completely satisfied with the crumbs, because a lot of times people say, oh, they're throwing us crumbs, and we're supposed to be all ecstatic about it, but at least be grateful for what you have, so then you're able to receive more. And so throughout the day I do this. I have certain numbers that in my mind, when I look at the clock and it's that number, I say a gratitude prayer. And let me tell you, I don't know if it's God, universe doing this, but I swear it seems like every time I look at that clock, I'm seeing that number. So I find myself saying the gratitude prayer throughout the entire day, some days more than others.
Mhm.
I want to say though, and I just want to give some other examples. Okay, I was brutally beaten up. Ella said about when that thing hits you, that thing. Well, let's just say a lot of fists hit me, and I was brutally beaten up. It was a horrible time for me, a horrible experience. However, it is the fire that basically ignited the true warrior activist in me. It really is. And so even though I would have liked to not have gotten brutally beaten up, but it happened to me, I survived it, and look what I did with it. So that's an example of, something happening and you being able to make lemon meringue pie out of lemons. And another thing is something a dream of yours is about to come true, or something that you really desire. I was invited. I've done a number of shows, but this one particular show, I was invited to be on the show. They flew me out, paid for my hotel, gave me a stipend for food and all expending, and I'm all dressed up, ready to go out, and they had overbooked the show, and they basically had a segment end up being longer than they expected, so that pushed me out. So I'm about to go out on the stage for my segment, and they say, "Oh, sorry, no more room for you." Now, in that moment, I felt very hurt, depleted, a little angry, depressed. But I took the high road, and I was very, cordial with them, actually positive. I still thank them for the opportunity, for flying me out. But when I got home, it took a while for me to shake that. But I said to myself, you know what? Everything happens for a reason. And I kept going. Well, not only did the show have me back two more times than I was actually on, that then led to freaking reality TV. And so what I'm saying is sometimes your bubble will be, you'll feel like your bubble was burst. But in that moment, know that things happen for a reason and that it's just part of your trajectory. And that if you have a certain goal or desire, you just keep your eye on that and you'll see how things continue to move along and unfold. And lastly, with the government and the different things that are happening, Ella gave a perfect example of India and what they did to the Hijras. And this has happened over and over again in the history of the world. Some group being ostracized and their rights taken away. It's happened over and over and over again. But the bottom line is, we can't be erased. We are a part of nature. You can't take us away. We continue to be born over and over and over again. And we are a resilient people. So, with this happening, this is another example of taking lemons and making lemon meringue pie. This is an opportunity for our community to truly, truly unite and work towards our goal of equity and equality for our people. So instead of being, you know, letting it be something that gets us down, downtrodden, and have us give up. Let this be the spark for our community for us to keep going. And we live in a beautiful place, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We have a great LGBTQ community here. So even though this stuff is happening in the state and other states, I can still be able to say the positive things. And it's powerful. Ella?
Yeah.
Uh,
Jimmy?
What I love what Roger was. I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Any time that we're put in a position where it's a less than desirable situation. Proceed. I love this. Is Bobby? Proceed as if success is inevitable. So you may not go on stage that particular day, but as time passes, you'll go on stage many times. And I just love what I'm hearing. I love what I'm getting motivated listening to y'all, and getting to what I think Bobby was talking about when I think it was to respond. So when we respond to, okay, so Raji responded to not going on stage that particular day. She didn't react. There's a difference. So a response is a cool, calm, and collected mind. A reaction, logical thinking goes out the window because our emotions get elevated, usually in a negative way. So by maintaining a cool, calm, and collected mind in any situation that we encounter, our brain is to be able to think and find a solution to the situation that we find ourselves in. But if we get all bent out of shape, logical thinking goes out the window. In order to achieve optimum thinking, our brain needs to be relaxed. We're in a heightened emotional state, logical thinking is not going to be possible. And part of this whole journey is to train our minds to be solution oriented.
Mhm.
You know, that old saying, is the glass half full or half empty? You know, I think it was Confucius said, he who thinks he can and he who thinks they can't are both right. So train our minds to be solution oriented. And I think it was Raji was talking about um, uh, being able to find a solution. So, and this is another saying that I love, and I say it almost every podcast. Not in time, place, or circumstance, but in the person lies success. So remember these things. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, these podcasts are designed to enlighten our fellow humans and stimulate thought and introduce new ideas and ways of thinking and how to navigate through the world. It's not easy out there. It's not, there's every step we take presents. So if we approach life in a solution oriented way, it's as being opportunities, we'll be able to navigate through obstacles and achieve the goals in our lives.
Mhm. Absolutely. Bobby, your turn.
Boy, you all just make me remember and reflect and think on so many things. And uh, and I also think about who might be watching and who's in the audience, and is there anything I could share that might be helpful? And I realized that, you know, we're talking about how you respond to adversity. And I adored my father. I really adored my father, but he died when I was 10 years old. And within the next 2 years, all of my grandparents died. My two favorite aunts died. And it was like, and then my first real hero, I was in the seventh grade, my first real hero got assassinated, John Kennedy. And it was like, oh my God. And I went into a tailspin. And what I didn't realize is that I developed a mental habit of feeling sorry for myself. All of this bad stuff that's happened to me, I was really feeling sorry for myself. And then when you throw in the trans stuff too, it's like, whoa, you know, it's like that was another aspect of something to feel sorry for myself about. And why was I made this way and all that kind of stuff. And it wasn't until a long time later, I was probably in my 30s when I was reading this article, and a guy wrote, there's no drug more addictive than self-pity. And that just hit me so hard because I had become addicted to self-pity. And that was my response to everything. And I think a whole lot of us in a community are. We feel sorry for ourselves, the hand we've been dealt, nothing's going right. And it's so easy to get addicted to feeling sorry for yourself and being caught up in self-pity. And that just, I really had to take a hard look. I really had to take a hard look at myself. And I remember reading another quote by, of all people, Abraham Lincoln. It was real simple. It's like, most people are about as happy as they decide to be. And and it was, and I wanted to get real mad at him. and and since then I've said the same thing to other people that are feeling sorry for themselves, and they get real mad at me. But you don't understand how bad I've had it. And and what you're saying about gratitude and Raji is key to all of that, because if you focus on what you don't have, you will never have enough. But when you focus on what you do have, all of a sudden you start seeing more and more and more things. And so gratitude really is the key to getting out of that stinking thinking of feeling sorry for yourself and self-pity and oh poor me and all of that. And I don't want to pretend like it was easy. It just occurred to me that I was lost in that. And the other bad thing about that, feeling sorry for myself, I used it to justify all kinds of I mean, uh, self-injurious behavior, self-destructive behavior. It's like, oh, what's the point? I might as well go out and do all this stuff. People say, no, ever do that. And I did it. And, you know, I was just really lost in that for a long time. But it wasn't until I saw that simple thing that there's no drug more addictive than self-pity that I realized I was an addict. I
So
really was. And I had to do something about it. And that's, you know, you stop blaming all of this other stuff. And it's like, well, what am I going to do about it? So anyhow, I just wanted to throw that out. I hope it's not like trying to bring everybody down, but it occurred to me that it's right. It's how do you play the hand you've been dealt? And feeling sorry for yourself is pretty much a guarantee you're going to lose that hand, you know. So you got to change that thinking. So anyhow, that's my 2 cents for tonight. Back to
absolutely,
you.
you're absolutely right. And I just want to tell you two very short stories to finish it.
Uh-huh.
One is a negative story. It is someone which actually tried to commit suicide 2 days ago. She's transgender, um, and she went into the negative path for
Mm-hmm.
many years. And it's the fourth time that she tried to commit suicide. She was saved at the last minute. I'm not going to tell her name because it's not the right place here. But I mean, I really feel sad for her.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always been very difficult to bring her to the positive mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a good example of that. The other story is a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So I have got, I mean, one of my customers asked me to do something on Saturday of next week. And I told him, I'm so sorry. I can't come. I'll come on the Sunday, but not on the Saturday. And I said, and the reason is very simple. My daughter has a gender reveal party for soon to come child.
Oh.
And this person is a Canadian. And he looked at me and he said, a gender reveal party? Do you still have that in the United States?
Oh my God.
I said, yes, we do.
Yeah, we do that.
Yes, we do that in the United States. Well, everybody's got different opinions and different ways of looking, but apparently here in Canada, it's kind of yeah, people are not so
Mm-hmm.
not so stifled about the gender.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let people do what they want to do. Anyway, with those words, thank you very much for coming and looking at Transgurus. We'll try to be here next week again. And you guys have a wonderful weekend. And bye, everybody.
Bye. Love, peace, and blessings.
Bye.
Namaste.